Also in the background today, supporting this presentation, is Ingrid Qualls, who is IBIE's Trade Show Manager. This is the 6th webinar in the Exhibitor Education Series, designed to help you be successful at IBIE. All webinars are recorded and posted to bakingexpo.com so that you can reference them at any time. Before we get started, please take a minute to familiarize yourself with the GoToWebinar dashboard. On this slide, you'll see a list of available widgets. I would like to remind everyone that all attendees are muted, and if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them into the question box on your screen. Any troubleshooting comments can be shared in the chat widget, and someone from the IBIE team will reply to you. This webinar is recorded and again will be posted on bakingexpo.com under Exhibitors and then under Resources and Webinars. So let's start talking about some exhibitor logistics that are important to your pre-show planning. IBIE offers all of our exhibitors access to our corporate meeting program, and that gives you the opportunity to book a meeting room at the Las Vegas Convention Center during the show through IBIE at no cost to you. This is really a great way to hold a pre-show team meeting, maybe a sales meeting, a customer event, etc. So any AV, audiovisual, and food and beverage costs would be the responsibility of the exhibitor, but the meeting room is provided to you complimentary. If you're interested in doing a meeting at one of the hotels in the IBIE block, we can also assist you with securing those at a discounted price. Please scan the QR code here for a direct link to the form, or you can find the form in the Exhibitor Console to complete it. And we'll talk in a couple minutes about how to access the Exhibitor Console. Centerplate is the exclusive in-house caterer at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which means that all food and beverage must be purchased through Centerplate. So here you'll see some of the points about how and when you would work with Centerplate is to order food and beverage for your booth or meeting rooms. If for some reason you need to bring in your own outside food and beverage, you can talk to Centerplate about that, and they can calculate a corkage fee, which is like a surcharge they charge for you to bring in your own food and beverage. You can make sure you understand the process to be approved for sampling of any items in your booth, because those do need to be approved by Centerplate and the health department. And you can also understand the hand washing kit requirements. So any preparation that's going on in your booth does require a hand washing kit, and Centerplate can talk to you about that. Everybody knows, I think, that Las Vegas is quite warm when we're going to be there, so you're going to want to make sure you stay hydrated, especially during move-in and move-out when all the loading docks are open. Since you are unable to bring in your own food and beverage, which would include bottled water, Centerplate does have a special rate of $25 for packages of 24 water bottles for your staff. And there's a form available in the service kit for that. Technically, there can be a penalty charged to an exhibitor who brings in their own food and beverage. So even for something like water, to keep your staff hydrated. So you're going to want to make sure that you look for this form and take care of ordering water in your booth for your employees. Exhibitors can register for their badges via the Exhibitor Console. Again, we'll talk about the console in a minute. When you get into the registration portal, you'll be able to access your complimentary allotted badges. The allotments are based on square footage. So you get 3 badges for every 150 square feet of exhibit space. If you have less than 150, you would still get 3. But you accumulate based on levels of 150 square feet. So you can order your badges in the console. All booth attendants must be employees or dealers and representatives of the exhibiting firm and may be required to produce identification when registering on site. Spouse badges are included as part of the exhibitor's allotment. So if you need a spouse badge, it would need to come out of your allotment. Badges will not be mailed. That is something new for IBIE. If you're brand new to IBIE, it won't make a difference. You won't remember otherwise. But if you're on here and you've been before, They will not be mailed in advance. You will pick them up at the exhibitor registration desk in the West Building, level 2 of the Convention Center. Badges can be picked up on site by the official booth contact or by individual booth personnel. And also, if you exceed your comp allotment of badges, then you can register any additional staff member at a flat rate of $85 per person. We also have a discount code that you can extend to customers where you can give them a 20% discount on attendee badges. If you go into, again, the Exhibitor Console, you'll see a common theme here. If you go into the Exhibitor Console, there's a place where you'll find a place to get a link. You can send that link to your customers. They can use that directly to register with the 20% discount. IBIE assigns booth space based on a priority point system, and new for 2025, so the next show after 22, we'll be offering exhibitors 3 priority points towards their 2025 space selection if at least 75% of their registered booth staff booked and stayed at any of the official IBIE hotels. So after the show, we'll do an audit to confirm usage, and if your company has met the 75% threshold, we will give you 3 priority points towards the 2025 booth selection. So a nice little added incentive to stay within the IBIE block, and a nice way to start earning points for 25 in 22. If you have not already made your hotel reservations, you'll find a link to the reservation site on the Exhibitor Console. So I've mentioned the Exhibitor Console a whole bunch of times. Let's talk about it a little bit further. This is really your one-stop shop for anything you might need in terms of preparing and planning for the show. Of course, you can always contact our exhibits team at any time. We're happy to help, but just generally, if you're looking for forms or information, it's all going to be in the Exhibitor Console. So to get there, you'll go to bakingexpo.com. There's a link at the top that says Exhibitors. And then once you click on that, it'll say Exhibitor Resources and Webinars. And the first option is Exhibitor Console. So again, bakingexpo.com, click on Exhibitors, click on Exhibitors Resources and Webinars, and then Exhibitor Console. That's a few steps, I know, but it's pretty intuitive. If you go to the exhibitor section on the website, you'll be able to find it. And just to kind of give you an overview of what's in the console, so that's where you can update your company profile. That's included in our mobile app and in our on-site printed guide and our retail artisan guide. So that's where attendees can find you. That's where you can access the exhibitor promotional marketing toolkit. That's where the service kit is for ordering things like labor, material handling, catering, utilities, the housing reservation link we talked about, the exhibitor badge registration link, the 20% discount to customers link. Also on the console, you'll find a list of all of our sponsorship opportunities that are available for purchase if you're interested in expanding beyond just a booth space. And also any payments that are due to IBIE can also be made on the console. Wanted to just cover what is included in the booth package. So when you paid IBIE for your booth space, there are a number of things included with that. And the first is all material handling. So when you ship your freight, either advanced to the Freeman warehouse or direct to show site, the cost of bringing that freight into to your booth, removing your empty crates, and then bringing your crates back and taking the freight off the show floor to go back to your company, that's all included. So while you're paying to ship your freight, once it gets to the warehouse or direct, no additional charges unless you arrive off target. So all material handling is included. We also will provide a nightly vacuuming of your booth space. That is not porter service or trash removal in the booth, but nightly vacuuming. Each exhibitor gets a complimentary lead retrieval. So you have a choice between sort of a physical lead retrieval unit or 3 mobile accesses, 3 mobile apps or access to the mobile app for lead retrieval. So 3 people in your booth can use it. And of course, you can purchase more if you need more. You get access to our exhibitor webinar series like today, and of course your booth listing in the on-site guide and in the mobile app. I will put a plug in to make sure that you review and update your company information in the console. That's one of the critical dates that's coming up in the near future, so you want to take care of that. Some cost-saving tips for you in terms of your planning. First is that the advance order deadline from Freeman, which is probably where you would be ordering most of your things for the show, is August 10th. So if all your forms are in by August 10th, you'll receive the discounted pricing, which is a significant discount. So no reason not to try to get everything in by the 10th to minimize your cost. Pay attention to shipping deadlines. So the advanced warehouse, you can ship there starting July 12th. They'll receive freight. For direct to show site, there's a targeted floor plan where you can find what your target move-in date is, but make sure you pay attention to those dates, because if your freight arrives other than the dates prescribed, there will be an off-target shipping charge. Material handling charge. If at all possible, order your labor on straight time. Make sure your carrier arrives on time, again, so that they arrive on target. And take advantage of your booth package. So the material handling is, it's already in the works, in play. It'll just take care of itself when your freight arrives. But as far as the lead retrieval, you do need to place the order for that. And again, it's complimentary, 1 physical unit or 3 mobile apps. And it's a great way to capture leads, and we're providing it at no charge. Some on-site tips when you get to Las Vegas. First thing is pick up your badge. As I mentioned, they are no longer being mailed like they have been done in the past. So you'll go to registration, pick up your badge. Then I would suggest going directly to your booth to make sure everything has arrived. Do an inventory, make sure everything's there, identify anything that may be missing so you can start figuring out how to track that down. You're going to want to get empty stickers from the Freeman Exhibitor Service Desk. As soon as you empty out a crate, you can put an empty sticker on it, and then when the Freeman forklifts are driving around, they will remove the crate and take it out of your booth and put it into trailer storage for the duration of the show. So the faster you get your empties out, the more room you have to work in your booth. So just get the stickers so they're there and you can slap them on anytime a crate becomes empty. If you ordered labor, you're going to check in at the Freeman service desk to let them know you're there and you're ready for the labor at whatever time you've scheduled it. Make sure to bring all your tracking numbers and all your order confirmations. Hopefully everything goes very smoothly, but things do happen. So the more backup information you have on the orders you placed and the stuff that you shipped, the easier it will be to track it down. Wear comfortable shoes. I think that's potentially the most important. So wear comfortable shoes. The exhibit halls are divided into smaller sections, and each section has a concierge team with someone from IBIE and someone from Freeman. So they're driving around in their scooters. They're available to help you so that you don't always have to walk all the way over to the service desk to get what you need. And we'll be driving around and offering help in any way we can. So keep an eye out for us. And then, of course, stay hydrated. It sure does get hot. We will have water coolers during move-in and move-out available on the show floor. But as I mentioned, you can also pre-order those water bottles from Centerplate and pick them up when you get to the show and bring them to your booth. It's always helpful to have a good understanding of the prevailing union jurisdictions and the rules when you exhibit at a trade show. So let's spend a couple minutes to go over them for Las Vegas. Full-time employees of exhibiting companies may set up their own exhibits without assistance from the local union, but any labor services that may be required beyond what your regular full-time employees can provide must be rendered by union personnel and can be ordered in advance through Freeman. Proof of full-time employment status may be requested by the union steward of any personnel working in your booth. If exhibitors intend to use an exhibitor-appointed contractor, an EAC, to install and/or dismantle their booth, the exhibitor must also register their EAC and no later than August 12th. You can register your EAC via the EAC registration button, which is in the registration dashboard, which again is on the console. And an original certificate of insurance must be filed with IBIE in order for any EAC to gain access to the show floor. Exhibitors are allowed to hand carry their own materials into the convention center, but the use or rental of dollies, flat trucks, and other mechanical equipment is not permitted. Freeman does control access to the loading docks so that they may provide a safe and orderly move-in. Only full-time employees of the exhibiting company are allowed to hand carry items. Unloading and reloading at the dock is handled exclusively by Freeman. Please note that we will have a dock that's provided for use for privately operated vehicles, and there's more information about the POV dock in the Exhibitor Services Kit, again, on the console. With regard to utilities, most 120 volt connections do not require labor. Exhibitors can do it themselves. Their exhibitors can plug in their own standard office devices in the booth space, but labor is required for all 208 or 480 volt connections, and if lights or equipment need wiring, or if electrical cords are to be run under the carpet in concealed areas. And this is, of course, labor is required in order to ensure that electrical codes and building rules are met. So check with Freeman Electric if you're unsure if you need labor for your electrical setup, but there should be plenty of things that you can do on your own. You don't need to wait or pay for additional labor. Another tip is to follow our exhibitor communications. Our newsletters are the best way to stay on top of critical dates and the important actions that exhibitors need to manage before the show. We've had 2 newsletters go out so far. If you have not received them or don't recall receiving them, check your junk or spam to be sure. But if you can't find anything, just send us a note to exhibits with an S on the end, exhibits@bakingexpo.com. Let us know that you haven't received them, and we can take a look and try to figure out what is going on and make sure you start receiving them. Moving forward, you should expect to receive one about every month leading up to the show. And what we try to do is just highlight the things that are most critical, or the current dates that are on the schedule that are coming up that you're going to want to pay attention to. So looking through those newsletters is really helpful because we're using it to try to keep you on track and on time. And then the last thing I wanted to mention before we go into our Q&A is that last week in Las Vegas, we had our exhibitor briefing. We had about 75 exhibitors attend, which was awesome. And we covered a lot of great information that would, in addition to today's information, would definitely be valuable to a first-time exhibitor or even to a veteran exhibitor who just, it's been 3 years since the last IBIE. So I encourage you to watch it on demand. It is not quite up online yet. It should be by the end of this week. You'll go to bakingexpo.com, click on exhibitors, click on resources and webinars, and then click on webinar series, and you will find the one that shows the in-person briefing. But we cover things like, we talked a lot about all the various show features and updates that IBIE is presenting. So all the cool pavilions and how we're offering education and just all the things that we're providing that make IBIE, and that they're the additional value add to attendees besides, of course, the main attraction, which is seeing you, all the exhibitors. So if you kind of want a sense of all the things that we're doing and what the show's going to look and feel like, we'll be covering that. Freeman did a presentation about material handling. They talked a lot about the booth package, what's included, how to follow it, talked about the targeted floor plan. So really good information there for a new exhibitor. There was some more detail on the sponsorship, marketing, and advertising opportunities that are available for purchase. And then most of the exhibitor logistics that were recorded on there, I covered already today. But I do encourage you to take a look at that. It definitely will be helpful to you all. We weren't able to recreate that entire briefing in this short webinar today because it was a couple of hours. So now I'm going to ask Ingrid Qualls, our trade show manager, who's in the background there, to see if we have any questions that have come in or anything that we can answer for anybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes. Okay, so we do have a few questions. Our first question is there a deadline for badge registration? And no, currently we do not have a deadline for badge registration because we are not mailing the badges. In the past, we did have a deadline for registration to register for your badges, but the answer is no. We can register you up until the time you arrive to the show.
I will add to that, though, there is a benefit to registering in advance because when you get on site, we have stations where it's everyone who's pre-registered and you go in and it's very quick, it gets printed. And if you haven't registered, it takes a little more time to, register all the people. So as Ingrid said, no deadline, but saves you a little bit of time if you do it in advance online.
Yes. The next question, do we need to register our presenters or do they receive free badges from IBIE?
So I'm not 100% sure what that means. If it's a presenter that's in your booth, it's someone that you've hired to do a demo in your booth, that would need to come out of your exhibitor badge allotment. If they are somebody who is on the official IBIE Educate series, that will be provided by IBIE.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what is the first day that registration is open at the expo? I would like to print badges for all of my booth staff ahead of time. Registration opens on September 16th at 2 p.m. So Friday, September 16th at 2 p.m. The next question, will you inform us of the points we accumulated for hotels booked?
I am going to, well, yes, we will. I don't know the process of how exactly we will be doing that, but we'll take a note of, we'll have your name of who asked that question and we can circle back with you and let you know.
Yes, and I'm just going to add to that it will definitely be after the team has done the hotel audit, and then we will reach out to the exhibitors with official point calculations.
Yeah, so it will definitely take a little while after the show. Ingrid, just to backtrack to your answer to the registration, was that attendee registration you were talking about opening September 16th? Because I think exhibitor registration is open during move-in, which starts earlier than that. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
I'm sorry about that. That was
that's okay.
attendee registration. Yes.
Okay. So exhibitor registration opens the first day of move-in, which is Tuesday, September 13th. So you'll be able to get your badges starting then, but attendees cannot pick them up or register until the 16th.
Okay, thank you. The next question, union labor required to set up booth or video wall, or can my staff set up?
I think that is a good question for Freeman. To be honest, based on the just the little explanation that's provided, I have a feeling it may have to be labor. It sounds potentially complex, especially the video wall. But if you reach out to Freeman, and their contact information is in the service kit, which is on the console, they're really the experts and can tell you exactly what you can't do and exactly what you can.
Okay. Next question, moving equipment and placed specifically within the booth has always been an extra charge by Freeman. How do I get Freeman to place my piece of equipment where I want it without an extra charge? Second, handling.
Okay, that's a really good question. And it's also another good reason to watch the briefing because Freeman talked a little bit about that. But Freeman has distributed to all exhibitors a freight questionnaire, which we strongly recommend and encourage you to complete. This is new for this show, they're collecting information from all the exhibitors in terms of how much freight, where it needs to be set, how it needs to be set. Any of those that are more complicated, they are planning to make phone calls following up on the questionnaire to really get all the details hammered out ahead of time so that you don't have to move things a second or third time, which we know was a challenge in 19. So I would suggest, fill out that form and probably don't even wait for them to call you. I would give them a call and tell them that you want to talk about your material handling and rigging needs, and just get on their radar sooner rather than later. And again, they are supposed to be calling you anyway, but just call them directly and make sure that the conversation happens.
Okay, thank you. The next question, will electric be turned on during move-in? In 2019, it wasn't on until the day before the show opened.
Ingrid, do you know the answer to that question?
I do not, but I can't imagine that if the exhibitor needed to test their equipment or machinery, that Freeman would not um, have the electrical turned on. So for the person that's asking, I have your information here. I will circle back with you.
But that person is correct in that the utilities have generally are not turned on until the day before. But I've made a note. I'm going to talk to Freeman about that as well. And as Ingrid said, we'll find out specifically for that exhibitor. Thank you for raising that point.
The next question, I am using a booth builder. What information do I need to provide them? And does this fall under exhibitor appointed contractors?
Yes, that is exactly an exhibitor appointed contractor. You're going to want to go into the console and register them. I'm not, in terms of what do you need to provide them, I'm not totally sure what exactly that means, but as far as making sure that they can come in and they can work on the show floor, you're going to register them. They're going to have to submit a certificate of insurance. They don't come out of your exhibitor badge allotment unless you need them on the show floor during show days, but they'll get just a wristband, so you don't have to use your badges up on them. But if I have not answered your question, just send us an email and we'll get into it in more detail, because I'm not positive I've 100% answered what you wanted to know.
Okay, our next question. You mentioned material handling is included in the booth fee. What about daily product pulls from freezer and refrigerator trailers? Is this included with material handling as well?
That is not included. That is something that you would order through Freeman, and they will charge you to provide that.
Okay, looks like we do not have any other questions at this time.
Okay, great. Well, so you'll see on the screen here, we have our email address and our phone number. Feel free to contact us at any time so that we can help you between now and the show, which is only, it's something like 130 days away. So it'll be here before you know it, and there's still a lot to do. So keep an eye out for the emails, check the Exhibitor Console, bookmark it on your browser, email us with anything we can do to help, and we look forward to seeing you all. Oh, and I should say, and one last plug for the recording of the briefing last week. There's some really good content that I think will be helpful. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you at our next webinar, and then we'll see you on site in September. Thank you.